Welcome to week 11 of 52 weeks. You know, we're living in a time right now where life is changing. Things are happening. And I thought really hard about whether I wanted to do this week or not, but as I continue to grow through the process, I feel like it's so very important for me to talk about it. And so this week is all about your inner child. And I even have some homework for you to try out this week. So, in this image that you see behind me is an image of an adult and a child. But the truth is that this is you. And the circle around represents the fact that you're two people in one, so to speak. We all have an inner child within us. And I want to talk about who the inner child is today. And so the first, and this is from Carl Chung, who talks about this, and he's one of the biggest teachers on shadow work and the importance of shadow work. And the first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego. The second half is going inward and letting go of it. And when I first heard this, I was like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. But the more I thought about it as I got older and as I started to really dive into shadow work and the importance of inner child healing, I really saw what he meant. You know that little tiny annoying voice that's in your head that constantly is bugging you, constantly is saying things to you, constantly is pretty much annoying like a 2-year-old. Well, that's your inner child. And the truth is, they never sleep. They pop into your head overnight. They they annoy us. They annoy us. And one of the coolest thing that I want to read from this book I'm reading is The Birth of Your Inner Child. And it says, who is this inner child? What does it mean to work with and cure an inner child? Um, a lot of it is psychology and philosophy, right? A lot of it is like the different stages of inner child. I mean, anytime we've gone through trauma, we've gone through hurt, we've gone through these different issues, most of the things that happen when we get trauma triggered, most of the time it's because and based on the things that happened to us when we were a child. It was the lessons that we went through, the experiences that we have, right? Um, it takes years of conditioning us in a way that isn't beneficial. It also takes years to uncondition ourselves. And there's both a psychology approach to inner child healing and there's a holistic practices. And I like to incorporate both. I like to incorporate the fact that doing the work and taking the steps needed to get to the healing that we need is so beneficial. And seeing how a lot of our experiences and our traumas and our triggers that happen in our life is based from our childhood. Well, the truth is that we have to pour that love into that little person, right? There's different there's different ways to heal. There's modernized ways to heal your inner child, and there's the holistic side of it. And one of the things that I was taught, and I'd like to share with you this homework assignment, this homework thing, is for a good portion of us, we have a wounded inner child and we need to heal that wounded inner child. And one of the coolest ways, and I lost my piece of paper that I wrote it on. What the hell? Oh, there it is. Please hold. It fell. one of the ways that I feel work to heal your inner child the best is to confront your younger self. You can do this in mirror work, as Louise Hay has taught us about. Or what I like to do, and this was taught to me by my therapist, was to write a letter to my inner child. And instead of, and I've written lots of many letters to my inner child, but this isn't a letter that's going to, pre-warn them or give them that insight or that knowledge of the things that are going to happen. Instead, I want you to confront your younger self or younger child, inner child, and give yourself words of encouragement. And the reason I think this is important is because when we grow up in a time where there is bullying major. And we see this in our children today. We see this in our grandchildren and our nieces and our nephews and in the bullying that they experience. And I want you to know that, like, when you start to face your inner child, and the way I did this was I actually had a picture of myself as a child. And I put it up in a place that I could see it. And throughout my day, every time I was feeling low energy, I would just look at that child and be like, you're amazing. You're so strong. You're so empowering. You're so adventurous and giving and loving. And I would do that back and forth. And I did this assignment for about a week. And then my therapist said, now I want you to do is go back to what you just did and try to give this child the words that were given to you as a child, that were not encouraging, that were not loving. And what I discovered in this process is I found it extremely, extremely difficult to say the same words that had been said to me to this image. And I found it way more easier to give it the words of encouragement than I did disencouragement. We all want to live in this place of empowerment. We all want to live in this place of love and acceptance. But the truth is the world is hard. And it's not rainbows and unicorns. But if we can heal ourselves, even one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time, we begin to heal that hurt. And one of the most important things in this life is to feel those emotions in order to heal those emotions. And when you can do both of that, you can bring these two back together. So I hope you enjoyed this week's week 11. And I hope you will take some inspiration, some empowerment, some insight, and to start to implement this in your daily life. Because the only one that can heal what's hurt inside of us is ourselves. And it starts with us. And maybe just then we can break those karmic connections to our inner child that stem from generations to generations. I want to leave this with you as well. 1 in 4 people in our world will be diagnosed with a mental illness. 1 in 4. Don't be the statistic. Get to help now. Ask for help, ask for guidance, reach out, talk, communicate. And remember, most important, you are enough. This version and this version. So these 2 versions are enough. You're worth it. You matter. If no one tells you today, you're loved. Survive. Love you. Stay beautiful, guys, and we'll see you next week. Love and light.